So, can keto affect your testosterone? The answer is yes, but probably in a beneficial way. So, I'm going to start off by prefacing any fat loss diet that is restricted in calories can negatively affect your testosterone. However, that's all determined by how ridiculous your calorie deficit is. So, no diet is safe from that. However, keto does have some safeguards in place for that, but I'm going to start off. So how can the ketogenic diet affect your testosterone? The reason is that the ketogenic diet allows for a lot more precursors of testosterone in your diet, as well as certain nutrients that create testosterone, and it takes out some other ingredients in your body that will be inhibitory towards testosterone. So the number one is you're increasing your number of fats in some capacity. So although I preach that the ketogenic diet doesn't have to be a high fat diet in terms of like 80%, 20% fat to protein, it is going to have an increase in fats in your diet. And having more fats and cholesterol is great for testosterone because you actually can't produce testosterone without those. And if you actually didn't have any cholesterol, you'd die. So you wouldn't only not have any testosterone, but you'd also be dead. So you don't have to be afraid of too many fats, because fat, even though it contains cholesterol, is good for many functions in your body, and cholesterol can be used by almost every cell in your body. In fact, if you aren't eating enough, your body will produce more of its own, and that actually seems to be where a lot of the science is heading now, because the problem seems to be more so with your body having to amp up its own production of cholesterol rather than your eating 5 eggs a day. That's another thing. Food marketing wants you to be more afraid of 10 eggs than 10 Oreos. You don't need to be afraid of healthy saturated fats and cholesterol from those healthy saturated fats. So just in general, by increasing your levels of fat and cholesterol, you are going to provide your body with more precursors to testosterone.
That is a lot of saturated fat. What else?
This doesn't necessarily mean that more is better. It'll probably cap out at some point, depending on your body, but giving your body enough is key. And many fitness and bodybuilder diets really dial down the fat. A lot of them go 20% or less of their total calorie intake. And some studies have shown that anything below 25% can be very inhibitory towards testosterone production. Anything above 40% is going to be beneficial to testosterone. And although that doesn't mean you need to go for 80 to 90% fat, anything that's getting you adequate amount of fats in your diet and fat-soluble vitamins and cholesterol is going to be way better for your levels of testosterone and your gains. Okay, at the end of the day, the gains. You don't need to worry about cutting out carbs and losing your gains is another thing. So cutting out your sugar and processed carbs altogether, and basically all carbs except from green vegetables, is going to do two things that will make it better for your body to produce testosterone. The first one is it's going to increase your insulin sensitivity. Keto diets can improve insulin sensitivity up to 75%, and this means your body's going to be better at using insulin. So that means you're going to be less likely to store fat, because if you're insulin resistant, it means you're more likely to store fat. Now, when it comes to inhibiting testosterone, high levels of blood sugar and insulin in your body have been shown to be inhibitory to testosterone production. So cutting out all sources of processed carbs is huge for testosterone, because if you're coming from a diet that had decent levels of processed carbs, cutting them all together is going to increase that insulin sensitivity and going to make it less inhibitory towards your testosterone production.
Oh, these cookies. I gotta get the recipe from Les. Put that cookie down now.
To the fat-soluble vitamins. So those are A, E, D, and K. And most of those have very beneficial functions on cellular repair and a lot of other functions in your body that are almost hormonal-like. Vitamin D in itself, when consumed from food, because you can also get it from the sun, is pretty much a hormone in your body. And it's clinically under-prescribed in terms of your daily recommended dosage. When it comes to how that influences bodybuilding or fitness goals, it is very important to creating hormones, and is very important to creating testosterone. And if you're not getting enough, that's one thing, but you also need a certain amount of fat in order to properly absorb those nutrients. The bioavailability of those nutrients is going to be dependent on how much your body is able to absorb them, and that is going to be increased by eating more fat, because these are fat-soluble vitamins. They need fat in order to be digested and absorbed properly. So when it comes to low-calorie diets, like I said, anything is at risk. Nothing is off limits here. But because a fat-adapted metabolism is better off in areas of scarcity, if you are on a very low-calorie diet, or you're doing a bodybuilding prep or something like that, or you have a vacation, whatever you're doing, and you want to really dial down the calories, it's going to be very beneficial for you to be on a fat metabolism, because A, your body's going to be more protein sparing, and B, your body's going to be less likely to suffer the effects of testosterone loss due to energy restriction. So too scarce amounts of energy is going to cause your body to not be able to produce hormones as effectively. So when you're on a fat adapted metabolism, your body is better able to pull from its own energy sources and create the necessary hormones it needs. So it's not a massive difference compared to if somebody's on 500 calories a day. But the thing is, you're going to be better off, and it's a little bit of a safeguard in place for if your calories are going to go quite low. Last thing I want to say too is ketogenic diets are very conducive to intermittent fasting. And if you've ever done one before, you'll know that you're able to go long amounts of time without eating. This is why they work so hand in hand, and they actually mimic one another. But the thing is, intermittent fasting increases your levels of growth hormone and IGF-1. And although growth hormone isn't an anabolic hormone technically, it does help with a lot of the youthfulness of your body and other functions in your body that deal with preservation and going hand in hand with testosterone and youthfulness. Basically, if you're fasting more, which will be easier to do by having a ketogenic diet in place, you will be less likely to use your own testosterone and basically waste your own testosterone. So there's that. And the last thing I want to say is too, there's also a process in the body, a pathway called mTOR. So mTOR is the main muscle building pathway in your body. And insulin resistance and high levels of insulin can actually be inhibitory to mTOR and make it less effective. So when you are more insulin sensitive and in better shape, basically, mTOR is going to be more effective. So when you do a ketogenic diet, as I've said, you can increase your insulin sensitivity and basically make your body more efficient. It's basically a big metabolic reset. And besides the metabolic benefits of, doing this ketogenic diet for your testosterone, the thing is, when you're making your body more effective, you're going to get more out of these muscle building processes. So in terms of testosterone, or if your goal is bodybuilding, not only will it be beneficial for your testosterone, but it will actually be beneficial to muscle building even when separate from testosterone. So to summarize, eating ketogenic lifestyle is great for adding the precursors to creating testosterone into your body. You don't need to be afraid of the cholesterol. You don't need to be afraid of the fats, as long as you're getting them from, you're not eating pounds of bacon every day. The thing is, if you're eating this way, it's going to go a lot farther for your health than the standard American diet. So at the end of the day, if testosterone is your goal and you want to optimize it, especially during the cutting phase, this can be huge. And I actually advise this as well for sort of a lean gains type of thing. So even if you're not cutting, but that's going to be a much slower process. But even if that is your goal, you will absolutely notice some testosterone benefits due to the lack of a calorie restriction. So that's my video on testosterone and keto diets. Let me know what else you'd like me to talk about. My name is Anthony Romano. Thank you for watching. Peace.